There's an African proverb that says, if you see a turtle on a fence post, you know he had help. Because grace is such that it will put you in places that you're not equipped to get to. But grace comes with responsibility, and it comes with accountability. Jesus tells the parable of the unforgiving servant. This is a really intriguing parable to me. I really didn't understand it, but that's just me. Jesus is telling this parable, and in this parable, he talks about how this servant goes to the king. Actually, the king called the servant because the servant owes the king some money. You know anything about folks owing you money? The servant owes the king some money. The king says, my good servant, your time is up, and I really need my money. The servant, not having the money, pleads with the king. King, oh king, I don't have the money just yet. The king says, well, I tell you what, take his wife and his sons and everything that he owes and sell it so I can get my money. When the king wants his money, it's time to pay the king. But the servant was crafty. The servant said to the king as he fell on his knees, King, please cut your servant just a little bit of slack. I have not worked in a year and a half, and my unemployment has been cut off. I'd love to be able to pay you, but I don't have the money right now. The king says, okay, because the king can be merciful. The king says, okay, your debt is forgiven you. Now, this servant owed the king 10,000 talents according to the scripture. That's a lot of money. Depending upon who you talk to, they say it's about 150,000 years of service. Some say 1 talent equals close to $1 million, about $850,000. It's a lot of money if you owe somebody 10,000 talents. But that debt was forgiven him because of the grace of the king. Once the servant left the king's presence, the servant came upon somebody who owed him. I don't know if you know anything about folks owing you money. The servant says to the person who owed him, this person owed him 100 denarii. Some say about $20 per denarii. 1 denarii, roughly about $20. The servant says to the man who owes him, I don't care what your situation is. I want my money. The other man, the slave, actually pleads with the servant. Please, sir, I don't have your money. I have not worked in 2.5 years, and my unemployment ran out 6 months ago. President wasn't able to extend it. I'm short right now. Can you just cut me a little slack? Do you have a heart? The servant said to him, I don't care what your situation, condition, or circumstance is. I want my money, and I want it right now. So what did the servant do? He had the man thrown in jail. No grace. So now the other servants are aware of what happened. The other servants know that he was forgiven. Now, this is the interesting thing about universal law. Even though grace extends the law or transcends the law still has a way of dealing with you if you won't be responsible for the grace that you receive. If you don't have grace and mercy on those who need it from you, when it's time for you to get your grace and mercy, the law just has a way of dealing with you when you won't deal with grace. Because see, even though grace exceeds and transcends the law still is very important for folk who won't work with grace. So now he throws him in jail, and then they say to him, King, the servant that you just forgave wouldn't forgive. And the king says, bring him back to me. Because grace is something that must be extended beyond you. The grace that you receive, you must pass on. The grace that you receive, you have a responsibility to pass it on and pay it forward. I think Jesus said it this way: when you pray, forgive us our as. No, don't run. Let's deal with that as. Forgive us our debts as we forgive those who owe us a debt. The as says that your forgiveness is connected to the forgiveness that you give. There is no forgiveness for you if you don't forgive that which you owe. So in order to be free, or in order to really walk in the grace, you have to let me go so that you can be free. Every time you try to keep me bound, you have to stay right there with me. So don't worry about putting nobody in a ditch. Don't worry about hoping he or she gets what they deserve. What you really want to do is pray that the grace of God will lift him or her up from wherever they are, so that you might be able to walk in that very same grace. The grace is there for us to experience, but you got to pay it forward. Don't try to hold anybody's grace back. Don't try to hold anybody's grace back. Don't try to keep anybody's good from them. Don't try to sit on anybody else's blessing. Trust that the grace of God is sufficient for you in whatever you're going through. God has got you. You got to understand what God is, though. You have to know that when God is dealing with you, if you will, in all your ways, acknowledge God, God will direct your path, and the direction that you receive will be sufficient for the grace that you need to walk through the season that you're in. And on the other side of that season is a blessing, not just for you, but those who you are connected to. You have to understand the bigness of how God works. God doesn't really work in small ways. Only small-minded people are able to work in small ways. Oh, please work with me here. Because see, if in your mind you're closed to the bigness of God, then it doesn't matter how much grace there is. The bigness of God will still be right there trying to push through that little piece of openness that you have in your mind, but you gotta open it up so that the full flow of the whole Spirit of God is available to you and have access to you in your life, world, and affairs. It is a simple process for simple people, but when we compound it and make it complex, we have trouble in our life. And that just don't make sense. That don't make good grace. We have to have enough grace on ourselves. We have to have enough grace on ourselves to let God be God in our life, world, and affairs. You have to let God out. That's what grace is about. You're letting God out. What does the last point on your bulletin say? Grace transcends divine law and fulfills it because love attracts love. Now, here is another interesting aspect of grace. Grace always gives you more than what you deserve. Grace never gives you all of the error that you deserve. But what grace does is it seeks to harmonize you with the truth of your being. See, sometimes we talk. We talk. Not you. Not you. I can almost feel the resistance go up. Not you. The people that you used to associate with, who don't know the importance of the words that they speak. And they say all manner of things. But what they don't realize is that there is no other about which to speak. See, anytime you think or speak, you only do so out of the consciousness that resides in you. There is no other to put down. There's only you to put down. There's only you to elevate, because we said that there is only one presence and one power. Anytime I have anything adverse or negative to say about you, I'm really only talking about the one presence and the one power. Now, the grace in me might not see, Irma, that you are God, because you might be acting crazy. But it's important for the grace, for me to connect to the grace and realize that the grace extends beyond the law. So now what's the significance about this, Rev? I'm glad you asked. When we are not in alignment with grace, the law begins to have its way. But we can extend beyond the law by having the grace. What are you saying? I'm saying that grace is transitory, but it's also definite. Grace is exact. Grace is an immutable action that is connected to the law of love. So then in order to really operate in grace, you have to really operate in love. In order to really open the floodgates to grace, you have to open the floodgates to love. In order to really open the floodgates of love, you have to open your heart to the place where you know that there is no separation, there is no distinction, there is no point of demarcation, there is no beginning and end, there is no you apart from me. There is only us in the collective oneness that we call God, and the goodness of God, just like it exists for me, is available for you. But if you don't know that you deserve your good, if you don't know that grace is keeping you out of the snare's way, if you don't know that grace will guide your step, see, grace is interesting in that it keeps you from walking into the minefields. You don't know why you made a left right here, but you made a left because you had grace on your life. You don't know why you called him up, but you called him up because you have grace on your life. You don't know why you can't deal with certain people. You can't deal with certain people because you have grace on your life. Grace will move you out of certain environments and drop you into certain other environments. Grace is the kind of thing that does not stay still. It is definite. It doesn't change, but it'll move you out of one situation that no longer fits you and put you into another. You're like the turtle. You don't know how you got up there. You don't know what you're doing with them. You don't know why things are different from you. They're different from you because you have grace on your life. It's not the kind of grace, it's not the kind of thing that you earn. You don't have to be smart. You can be dumb as a doornail and experience all the grace of God. Or you can be an erudite scholar and still experience all of the grace of God. Anything in between is open and receptive to receive the grace of God. All you have to do is say, yes, Lord, I'm ready, willing, able. I'm open and receptive to your grace, Father. Rain it down upon me. Give me what you got. Give me what I need. I'm listening, Father. Speak to your channel. I am open and receptive. Let the grace of your Holy Spirit have its way in and through me. And when the grace of God begins to fall upon you, you got to know how to say thank you. Thank you is an important word for folk who experience grace. When you experience the grace of God, a thank you here and a thank you there, it goes a long way, because the grace of God just keeps on moving. It just keeps on chugging. It just keeps on rocking. The grace of God is sufficient for you in every need. I don't care what you're going through. The grace of God will see you through. God bless you.